So I found this article interesting and I thought I'd read it. This was in the AUSA magazine for November. It says, fielding more firepower. A more lethal Stryker heads to Europe. An upgunned and more powerful version of the Stryker combat vehicle is set to roll over European maneuver areas early next year when soldiers with the 2nd Cavalry Regiment receive the first vehicles. The extra firepower and vehicle performance improvements were developed based on needs identified by soldiers with the 2nd Cavalry Regiment in Vilseck, Germany. Feedback included the observation that in Iraq and Afghanistan, where speed and range were important, in Europe, where soldiers are up against a near-peer adversary, greater lethality rose to the top of the list. Now, I don't know. No, yeah, it says they're having prototypes were test-driven and test-fired by 5 two-man crews from the 2nd Cavalry Regiment during 6 weeks over the summer at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. Upgrades to 3 Stryker variants include the installation of a turret designed to accommodate a 30mm cannon, a platform to launch the Javelin anti-tank missile from the top of the vehicle, and enhancements to the vehicle's engine and powertrain. Now, the engine and powertrain enhancements are symptomatic of slapping a bunch of shit on the Stryker it was never intended to carry. So you can't really call that improvements because it's needed to make the Stryker work when you pile on a bunch of shit. So, other issue I have is having only 2 SCR Stryker crews go to test and evaluate the prototypes. So you're going to have crews with the institutional knowledge of 2 SCR go to Aberdeen and give their feedback, when you could have a couple crews from a number of different Stryker units that have, you know, a variety of experiences go and give their feedback, because people are going to go there from 2 SCR and base everything that they see, touch, feel, taste off of what they've done as a unit. And you could say, oh wait, but you move every couple of years, man. There's probably those 2 SCR guys they've probably been in multiple units, man. Maybe you're right. But what experience and again institutional knowledge and the way they train is going to be the most fresh? It's going to be 2 SCR. So, and overall, the issue I have with mounting a 30mm is it takes away one of the aspects of a Stryker that I found to be good, and that is the fact that with a 50 cal, not so much a Mark 19, but definitely with the 50 cal, you can carry so much ammunition for all weapon systems, and it's a vehicle that can stay in a fight for a very long time. Tremendous range and speed as well. Now, it never was meant to go toe-to-toe with the BMP or the modern BRDM variants with the big chain guns. So I don't know exactly why that's the current intention. I know some people would say, oh, the LAV has a 25mm. Well, the Stryker isn't the LAV, right? The Stryker's not the fucking LAV. So the project manager goes on to say, this is a bespoke vehicle for the 2nd Cavalry. Now, I realize he's the hype manager. He's got to be. He's got to hype it up. But to say it's a bespoke vehicle, I think is fucking stupid. Because if you read into it, it's not just for 2 SCR. They're the first people to get it, but it's not just for 2 SCR. So by definition, it's already not bespoke, because other people are going to buy this, you know, get the same shit. It's known as the Infantry Carrier Vehicle Dragoon, after the 2nd Cavalry Regiment's nickname, Dragoons. In the Dragoon, the quick-firing cannon, operated from the commander's position inside the vehicle, was added by rearranging the original body with a riser with a sizable turret, a feature that required the elimination of several hatches An adjustment for soldiers used to use to greater eyes-on visibility, but the trade-off is better protection for soldiers who can remain under cover during firing, and greater firepower. The 30mm cannon has a range of 2 miles. 2 miles! They don't say whether that's point target, max effective, or area target. And also, like needing a riser. I mean, this reminds me of when they first started bolting on fucking hundreds and hundreds of pounds of armor, and how they had to contend with that issue. You know, they killed that U.S. Army vehicle program, and now we're doing this with the Stryker. This is the first new direct-fire weapon system and family of ammunition to enter the Army inventory since we put the 120mm battle cannon on the Abrams in the 1980s. Now that struck me as weird because we have a ton of 25, 20, and 30mm cannons already in service. And not only does he say it's a brand new direct-fire weapon system, but he also says family of ammunition accompanying it will be adopted. So our Dodec, our fucking baggage train is going to get bigger. Now, I don't know why any of the prior 30mm ammunition is not good enough. And I don't know if the other 30mm platforms are going to get the Dragoon ammunition. I don't know. I don't know if there's a fucking actual valid reason for adopting an entirely new cannon, or if it's just they wanted to spend the money. The cannon in question is the Kongsberg Protector MCT 30mm. So good for them. I don't know why it's better than the M134 or the M242 or the M230, but you know, I'm pretty sure if we wanted to go with the 230, we could ask someone to make HVAP or AP or API or APIT. I don't think that's an issue. I don't know. I'm just a fucking idiot. So before the crews took the wheels and manned the guns at Aberdeen, they trained in Germany in squad formation on computer simulators. The first time such a system has been virtually fielded. I don't know. You could virtually field a fucking Death Star. That's what makes video games great. I don't know what the fuck that even means. Soldiers with 2nd Cavalry Regiment will now be able to deploy a Javelin anti-tank missile while under cover of the vehicle, in addition to the well-worn method of launching the missile from a shoulder-mounted system. It's a soft launch missile system. I could shoot it from inside a building if I wanted. This capability is made possible with the installation of a position on the common remotely operated weapons station atop the vehicle that soldiers are used to using to fire other weapons. Now, can you mount the Javelin and leave it on there with the 50 caliber Mark 19 and then fire either? Because that would be okay, I guess. You can't reload it undercover, that's for sure. Now, if you can't operate both at the same time, then that's absolutely pointless. In addition to the weapons, the double-hulled Stryker variant is getting an improved suspension, wider tires and rims, 110 amp alternator, and an in-vehicle electrical network equipped to respond to future advances in digital equipment, and a 450 horsepower engine. It gets all of that and still has room for 9 infantrymen and 2 crew members. We fit more in the other Strykers. In the M1126, I'm almost positive. Now, I could be thinking of when there were no actual seats and it was benches and we carried less equipment. I mean, they carried less equipment. Russian aggression feeds the need, And this is probably one of the only things I like about this article, is that they're utterly transparent that they're being knee-jerk levels of reactionary to a perceived threat. And I always kind of caution against being that reactionary, constantly responding to someone else, tailoring your own equipment to this aggression, right? So I don't know. I feel like we're getting pigeonholed a little bit, but I mean, kind of like the constant need to upgun, not upgun, but up armor the Strykers due to political circumstances, as well as not being able to predict the orgy of threats in the Middle East. You know, is it a PG-2 they're firing at you, or is it a PG-7 or a PG-7VL, or is it an OG-7, or is it an RPG-18, or are they firing the AGS-17 at you? You don't know, because there's tons of black market trade there. Army leaders are unambiguous about the need to upgun the Stryker. Now, they don't specifically say this, but 30mm is commonly what's mounted on the Russian vehicles, if I recall. This capability that's coming to 2SCR is directly attributable to Russian aggression, and we are actively working with our foreign partners in how to help shape our formation, said Lieutenant Colonel Troy Meisel, regimental deputy commander, who said the lethality offered by the Dragoon is one way to help make up for a smaller U.S. presence in Europe. During the Cold War, he noted that Army had 300,000 soldiers stationed in Europe, a significant deterrent to any near-peer adversary. Today, with only 30,000 troops on the ground there, the Dragoon and the Javelin capability go a long way in stretching lethality. You know, and you start to see why we're doing certain things and certain policy changes are happening in the Army. Well, in my day, and back in the day in the Cold War, well, Russia. It's not the 60s anymore. It's not the 80s. So when you base all your decisions off of, well, in the 80s, we needed big guns. We need big guns now. Well, in the 80s, we had hundreds of thousands of troops. You need to get with the times. You're a fossil, and you're dangerous because you're a fossil and you're committed to drawing us into actual conventional war. Oh, well, if you don't aggressively respond to Russia, then they'll invade you with their shadow forces, and they'll troll your Twitter with stuff about Trump. I don't care how many Facebook posts or Twitter posts they make. The most important aspect, this is a good paragraph right here. The most important aspect of the Stryker infantry-centric formation, he said, are the 108 squads that come out of the back of the vehicle. There is 108 squads that come out of one Stryker. I mean, or there's 108 squads in infantry formation. I don't know, like our battalion, brigade, combat team, whatever the fuck. The capability here is not to take over from that squad. It allows us to get to the right place at the right time to close in and destroy the enemy that last 50 meters with our mover squads. And we're really excited to learn how to deploy, use, and fight with this new system, Meisel said. I never ever heard of anyone refer to a dismounted element as a mover squad. I never heard of the notion that you would dismount 50 meters from an enemy position of a near-peer adversary who's armed with thermobaric anti-tank munitions, high explosive anti-tank munitions, dual tandem warhead munitions. Their vehicles are armed with chain guns, guided missiles, grenade launchers, 12.7 machine guns, a bunch of other shit. Personally, the minute I take contact, I'm going to want out of the vehicle. Because otherwise you're just waiting for a cat kill. Or a heat round to go through and send frag into the troop compartment and wound everyone. You're no good in a fight just sitting in the vehicle. And if you dismount and you get proper spacing, the probability of an enemy gunner unloading a full cassette or belt of high explosive at one person is pretty low. Will they target you with a coax? Fuck yeah, they will. But I feel like individual infantrymen's survivability increases when they fucking leave the vehicle. So, yeah. Fielding for early user evaluation and gunnery exercises will take place in January, with the first combat vehicles fielded later in forward areas in Poland. And that's it. That's it. And I know some people would say, well, are you a master gunner? Are you a master Stryker gunner? How many combat points have you made with the Stryker? And they will attack your authority on the subject. But that's just me making uninformed opinions about what the military is doing. So I don't necessarily disagree with the fact that the Stryker needs to be upgunned. I've always been a proponent of a 20 millimeter with a great variety of ammunition, and it goes back to what I was saying before, is in keeping with the mobility and the original intent behind the Stryker. I don't believe a 20 millimeter would require that much modification, and I don't believe it would really disrupt how the crew commander operates. And I feel like you could still mount tons of ammo, being that the 20 millimeter is much smaller than a 30 millimeter. So I feel like it would be a more natural progression to the evolution of the Stryker, rather than saying, holy shit, we're gonna fucking fight BMP squads head on, we need 30 millimeter cannons on everything. And granted, I realize they said they're not gonna put it on everything. They're gonna put it on some, and I understand that. They're looking to harden units that will most likely be in linchpin areas during an attack or a defense. I got that, and with a limited deployment, I don't necessarily totally care, because obviously I just specified that I'm looking at this as an evolution to the baseline infantry fighting vehicle, and I definitely don't think 30 millimeter is the way, but as an interim approach to hardening cavalry units or infantry units, hey, maybe it's the way to go. I don't know why they adopted a completely new chain gun though. So that's the end of the article.